Shalom, back again with another lesson. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash, and give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from, who rule well. I want to say peace and salutations to Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing this word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice. I want to say shalom to your Israelite sisters that may be listening, and also to you Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. You may look like these other nations, but your seed line, it's important. Your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom. So I wanted to do this lesson today, just based off the recent news that I heard today. You know, that, well, I'm just saying America is moving mad at the moment, right? They're completely out of their minds at this point, right? Criminals. So yet again, Donald Trump has seized another oil tanker, this time it belonging to Russia on the high seas.
Breaking news this lunchtime, and ITV News understands that US forces are attempting to board a Russian-flagged oil tanker in the North Atlantic between Scotland and Iceland. The tanker was reportedly bound for Venezuela. Our political correspondent Carl Dimon joins me now from Westminster at this early stage. Carl, what can you tell us?
Well, as you say, Nina, we understand that this operation is underway. This vessel, the Marinera, had attempted, it seems, to get to Venezuela, but possibly had turned back due to the US blockade and was north of Scotland. Russian media are also reporting that the operation is underway and even have a photograph of what appears to be a US Special Forces Little Bird helicopter close to the ship. I mean, if a little helicopter like that is out there, it means US ships are probably not far away as well. We're also getting reports now from the United States that the vessel may already have been seized. The significance of this is that this vessel reflagged itself as a Russian vessel recently, and there were even reports that Russian naval assets, like a submarine, may have been on their way to try and protect it. So this could be a direct confrontation between the United States and Russia on some level, albeit this was not a Russian naval vessel, and this vessel had previously not been Russian and had already been sanctioned by the United States.
So I believe it's in the North Sea, around the north of England, if I'm not mistaken, close to Iceland, which, you know, is at this point, it's not even a shock to me. But the fact that they've brazenly, boldly just gone and done it, you know, considering everything that's gone on with Venezuela, and they've just now gone and done that, you know, they're sounding the drums of war, right? I mean, recently they had Donald Trump made a statement about Iceland, right? So Iceland is another country that America has its eyes on, or Donald Trump has his eye on. And there was a statement where he was on his jet, or not jet, but his plane, Air Force One, and they were talking about, you know, Venezuela. They took down Maduro. They took down President Maduro. Well, they kidnapped. They didn't take him down. They kidnapped President Maduro and his wife. And then they're on the Air Force One. And he made a statement, you know, we need Iceland. We need Iceland. Or is it Greenland? Is it Iceland or Greenland? I forget one of the two. I believe it may be Greenland. I could be wrong in saying Iceland, but I think it's Greenland. So I think Greenland is the country that Donald Trump has his eyes on. But he made a statement, right? Because they were talking, like, he had a reporter ask him, you know, what are your intentions with Greenland? And basically Donald Trump says, let's not worry about that at the moment, because obviously we're still speaking about this Venezuela thing, and, you know, we're going to be controlling it, XYZ. And he said, don't worry, Greenland, you know, Greenland will be the, in about 2 weeks, in about 20 days, or a few weeks, you'll be hearing about Greenland. You know what I mean? Like,
do you expect to take an action against Greenland?
Well, I don't want to talk about Greenland. Let's talk about Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine, and we'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
Aren't Venezuela we talk so much about energy.
By the way, I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell
He's
you.
always got his eye on it, man. Now, if you don't think that these statements, these actions that America's taking at the moment, if you don't think that this is leading closer to World War III, I genuinely do not know what to tell you, other than you're in trouble. You just as a person, right, that don't know this stuff, you're in trouble. You're in a very difficult position right now, and that's the best way I could describe it, is you're in a lot of trouble, because you're not going to see it coming. You're not going to see the world changing, and you're going to be looking for information and knowledge and understanding of what's going on, and you won't be able to find it. You're going to be in bad straits, right? It says, it's like the way America's been going on, not only is it sending a message to its enemies, right? That, because obviously America's enemies with Russia, Iran, China, all these big countries, the way America's been going on is sending a message to not only their enemies, but it's also sending a message to their allies as well. Because the way it comes across is, if America sees something it wants, America will take what it wants. And there's nothing any other nation can do, because obviously they'll flex that military muscle. You see, America, like right now, is moving diabolical, right? So without sounding like I'm blabbing on, right, I'm going to just get into the scriptures, right? So I'm going to read in the book of Amos, chapter 3, and I'm going to go to verse 6, right? It says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in a city and the people not be afraid?" Right? So, the trumpet's sounding right now. If you can't see it, like I said, again, you're in trouble, right? Because, the day of the Lord is going to come as a thief in the night, right? It ain't going to be a thing where you could see or say, "Oh, you know what? I saw that coming from ages ago." Some people they're just so wrapped up in the way life is going for them at this current point. It's not affecting them. So they're just not paying attention to what's going on. But it's like the trumpet is being blown in the city right now. And the people should be afraid of what's being reported right now. If you ain't afraid, man, I guess they say ignorance is bliss, but boy, I keep my eyes peeled, keep my eyes crystal, laser focused on everything that's going on, right? Like I say, there's so much going on at the moment. It's hard to focus on everything, because there's just so much, right? I'm going to read Amos 3 and 6 again. It says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and Yahweh have not done it?" So everything we're seeing taking place in the earth is Yahweh putting the spirit on these people to make these choices, especially Donald Trump, to make these choices, these actions, right? It says in verse 7, it says, "Surely the Lord power, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets," right? So all the brothers, out on the highways and hedges of Great Millstone, been bringing out this truth, this wisdom for years, especially starting with the head apostles, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, that have been dedicated to pushing this word out in truth and in sincerity for decades, coming close to 40 years. They've been bringing this out, right? So it says, "Surely the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets." So these secrets have been revealed, and they've been taught down to the men, to the prophets, the like-minded men, to say, look, this is what's happening. This is what this means. This is what that means. This is how you break this down. This is how you break that down, right? It's being revealed to the servants, the prophets. Before the Lord ever sent any judgment, he always set up his men to give the warning, to give the people an opportunity to repent, to come back to the Lord and keep the commandments to the best of their ability, right? To give them, an opportunity to be delivered, right? I mean, obviously, we know through study of the scriptures that the Lord chooses who the Lord wants. The Lord will put the Spirit on whoever He wants, right? And the Lord will choose who He will, right? But ultimately, you have to try and make that honest. Ultimately, I don't think it really matters, because if you ain't chosen by the Lord, you ain't gonna make it anyway. Only the elect are gonna be delivered, right? And that's written. So I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna jump over to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse. I'm gonna jump at 20. I could read 22, right? It says Jeremiah 50. Chapter 50, verse 22, right? It says, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. And we're starting to see that now, right? We're starting to see that the sound of battle is in the land. Like, look at everywhere you turn, just one thing after the other, It says, verse 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken, right? The hammer of the whole earth is the Edomites, the Americas, right? Babylon, right? The hammer of the whole earth. Because he's like, what does a hammer do? Hammer, is a tool that's used to force nails into wood or whatever, predominantly wood, to force the nail in, right? And that's what America does. America forces, its will on the world right now, because the Edomites are in, rulership, right? It says, how is Babylon, aka America, become a desolation among nations, right? Because eventually it will become a desolation. Them nukes are going to destroy America, right? As written in the scriptures. Verse 24, it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware, right? So America has no idea, because what's a snare? A snare is like a trap, right? When you're out in the woods hunting, or like, let's say, for example, you're stuck on a, desert island or something like that, like, and you need to snare some food, like you set a trap, you snare, right? You snare the prey so you could eat, right? It says, I have laid a snare for thee. That's talking about America. Every decision and every choice America is making is putting them in that snare. Like, America is in that snare, that trap. It says, and thou was not aware. That they're not aware that the decisions that they're making is ultimately leading to their destruction. Like, and this is where you read in the scriptures where it talks about the beast shall hate the whore. Like, she's like everybody's looking out the side, give America the side eye at the moment. Like, what you doing? You out here kidnapping presidents and the president's wife? You out here eyeballing countries like Greenland, getting ready to take them down? The EU has already said that if America tries to take Greenland by force, they're going to have to enact Article 5 and defend it. Like, I mean, the way Donald Trump is moving at the moment is like, I mean, it's comical, because it's like, look, this is what's supposed to happen anyway, right? The Lord said that their time is almost up, right? they're almost, matter of fact, let me see. I'm going to jump to the book of Revelation. I believe it's in Revelation 12. It's like, yeah, Revelation 12 and 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe, meaning destruction, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Like, the devil knows that his time is almost up. Esau knows that his time is almost up. That's why he's moving reckless right now. Guys out here just, jacking countries, presidents, kidnapping presidents, bombing friggin' countries in the sake of, oh yeah, we're defending the Nigerian Christians from the Islamic terrorists, and knowing that ain't even the reason. They don't care about the Christians in Nigeria. Like Donald Trump just, this devil is moving mad, right? But hey, it's all part of prophecy. That's how we understand that the closer we get to this thing, the better we are, because obviously we almost out of here, right? Now, when I mentioned about World War III, in the previous chapter, Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14, yeah, I'll just skip to the point. There's more meat in that, but I'm just going to go straight to the verse, right? To the point. So this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. It says, the second woe is past. So the second woe, second destruction, was World War II, right? So World War II has passed, right? It was America, Britain, Russia, I think, against Germany, right? So Germany was being the aggressor, and America joined the war. And, along with the Russians and Britain and the Allied nations, we took down Germany, right? German army was defeated. Hitler was, he killed himself or whatever. But, the story anyway. You can look into World War II history. It says this. It says, the second woe is past, right? World War II is past. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Now, World War II, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't that far off, that far back in history. You know what I mean? Like World War II, 1945 is where they dropped the bomb on the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? But now we're here, 2026 now, almost to the point where World War III is getting ready to, to pop off, right? So we understand that this prophecy is getting ready to pass, and we're out here warning the people as we've been commanded to do, right? So now I'll read in the book of Habakkuk, because this is what it says. In the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, we'll start from the top. It says, I will stand upon my watch, right? And that's what we've been told to do, commanded to do by the Lord. So stand upon our watch and warn the people. Right. Matter of fact, before I do Habakkuk 2, I'll quickly read Ezekiel, right? Ezekiel 3 and verse 17, it says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, right? Warn the Israelites. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. And that's what we're doing. We're warning our people about the coming doom, coming destruction that's getting ready to pop off on this planet, right? It says, I'm going to jump back over to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Now, we've been given this knowledge, truth, and understanding through our apostles, right? The head apostles of Great Millstone. We're given these prophecies, these breakdowns, and we're bringing them to you, just saying, look, this is what the Lord, showed our head apostles, and this is what we've learned, right? This is what we've broken down in the scriptures. This is what this means, right? It says, verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, right? So the vision was given to our head apostles, right? But it was written in the scriptures, that's why it says, things aforetime were written for our learning, right? Because we're learning the prophecies that are being presented today, right? It says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, write in the scriptures, right? It says that he may run that readeth it. Now that's not talking about fleeing to another country or moving and running somewhere else. It's talking about to prepare yourself, to get yourself prepared. What do runners do when they start the race? They prepare themselves, right? They get ready, right? This is all it's saying is get yourself ready, right? Seek the Lord while he may be found, right? Seek the Lord, repent, come back to the Lord while you still have that opportunity. Because the only way you're going to receive salvation is if the Lord has mercy upon you, right? Ultimately, the elect are going to be the ones that are delivered. But if you're not part of the elect, if you're not part of the ones that seeking the truth, seeking, repentance, seeking the Lord, you're finished. Right? Verse 3, Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3 says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie." Right? So we're at the end because we're starting to see it speak, right? It says, "Though it tarry," and the word tarry means to delay. "Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. It will not delay." Right? And now it's starting to come every other day. It's only been 7 days in the 2026, right? According to the Gregorian calendar, 7 days have passed, right, since the new year came in. And so far, America has invaded a country, kidnapped its president and the president's wife. They're eyeballing Greenland. I always want to say Iceland, but it's Greenland. They've eyeballed Greenland. They sent bombs to Nigeria, right? They're kidnapping or hijacking oil tankers, from a sovereign country. So Venezuela has deals and agreements with Russia, Iran, all these other nations that they do business with. America seized that oil and those tankers. China as well. China, don't forget China's included in that, if I didn't say China, right? But again, America's just moving mad. Like Donald Trump is moving like he's the emperor, right? But it says this. It says, verse 4, "Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him." Right? So Donald Trump, he ain't got a right spirit in him, right? His spirit is on a warpath at the moment, right? And it's not upright. It says it's not upright in him. It says, "But the just shall live by his faith," right? So the elect are going to live by the faith, right? Because they have the faith, right? They believe what the Lord has put out there. They believe that the Lord is going to do exactly what he says, right? Verse 5, it says, "Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine." These are the philosophies. Wine is the philosophies, right? And that's talking about Babylon, America, aka the Edomite stronghold. "Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man." Now, what's more proud than a man to say, "Yeah, we took out Venezuela, we kidnapped the president of Venezuela, and now, give us a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about Greenland." That's pride. That's proud. You got the friggin' I can't remember his name. He spoke at the Charlie Kirk eulogy or whatever that is, that thing that they did for Charlie Kirk. And he's talking about, yeah, we're going to take over all these other countries. All these other countries are as nothing, blah, 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 whatever. Like that's the sound of a proud man, right? It says he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
Can you rule out that the U.S. is ever going to try to take Greenland by force?
Well, let me go back a step. The president has been clear for months now, so I know you're treating this as breaking news. The president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus. The United
Right,
States,
but your wife posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation. That's why it's newly relevant.
No, I'll talk with you about it for an hour. I think it's a really important conversation. I just wanted to reset, Jake, by making clear that it has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States.
You don't stay at home. America, has military bases in all these countries around the world. Now, what other country does that? None. But America does. Like, America is just in everybody else's land. Right? He doesn't keep at home. He doesn't stay his ass in his own area. He likes to just expand and colonize his imperialistic mindset. Right? And it says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right? America's influence and their imperialistic mind frame is gathering up all the nations. He wants all the nations under his control, under his banner. He wants to control anything. It's where you get the NWO, the New World Order agenda, right? That's where that all comes from, right? It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? Everybody's asking, like, how long is this country gonna continue to pollute the whole entire earth? You know, how long are they gonna have their influence? How long are they gonna be, this unstoppable force that just keeps doing wickedness and evil, throughout the earth, right? How long? It says, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, right? He's lading himself with thick clay now. All these actions that he's doing in the earth, this guy is nuts, right? Now, when it comes to war, I mean, like, it's just one of those things, right? They need to be taken out, right? They need to be taken out. And what I'm going to jump to the book of Joel. Salakia, I'm all over the place, but this is the book of Joel, chapter 3. I'm going to read verse 9, right? And it says, proclaim ye this. Oh, Salakia. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. All right, so war's getting prepared. You hear the drums of war beating. If you don't, like I say, unlucky to you, because you're gonna be struggling, right? It says, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Right? So all the farming industry, the farming economy, the farming industry, they're not investing as much money into those fields or into that field, because they're now investing all that into the military field, the defense, right? So they're buying up all these weapons and, setting up their preparations for defense, like air defense, land defense, naval defense. All this is being set up currently by these weaker nations, right? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So they're girding themselves up. They're preparing, right? It says, verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, O Lord. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Now that's the Levant region. That's your valley of Jehoshaphat, They're all being gathered down in the Middle East, because when that, because right now they're eyeballing Iran. They've already threatened to come see them if they find out that they're making or starting up their nuclear program, their nuclear enrichment program. They're talking about, you didn't think them B-2 bombers, weren't a message to you to let you know that, hey, this is what we're coming to do, right? So they're making threats against Iran currently, right? It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, right? So Iran getting ready to, defend itself if it needs to. And then, all them countries going to be drawn to that area. And World War III, boy. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And like we say, when we read the scriptures, they're in the midst of World War III. They're all going to stop fighting each other and turn to try and fight Yahweh Shai as he cracks that sky, bring these damn devils down, right? It says, verse 13. So this is Joel chapter 3, verse 13. It says, put ye in the sickle, right? And the sickle is like one of them tools that you use to swipe the harvest or to cut the harvest, right? It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Like all these nations are getting ready to be judged, right? It says, verse 14, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The valley of decision is where judgment will take place, right? Now, what's it say? I'm going to jump over to the book of 2nd Ezra. I'm going to wrap this up. Let's see. 2nd Ezra chapter 6. And I'm going to read 9. Right? It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right? So we understand that Jacob, being the Israelites, the elect, the Israelites, the nation of Israel, the true biblical Israelites are going to be up next. It ain't going to be Russia, it ain't going to be China. It's going to be the Israelites under Yahweh Shai, right? We'll read one last scripture, right? Because it even says here in the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5, it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise. And when you think about war, you think about the time of old, like Game of Thrones or Braveheart, where you have the men, they give that battle cry. They run into battle. You hear swords clanging and arms and limbs getting chopped off and blood everywhere, right? It says here, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. It says, but, that's the next part, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Meaning them nuclear missiles, them nuclear bombs, all that stuff is going to take place, right? So it's just going to be World War III. World War III, right? And it says here, verse 6, it says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. Right? It's the kingdom. That's Yahweh Shai in the kingdom, ruling the kingdom, right? And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace, right? So all praise be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakodash. I pray that this lesson has been edifying, and it's on to the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.